February 12th, 2022, and acceptance hereby the clerk. Two pieces of communication. Is there any questions or comments on our communication? Mayor's report, Mayor Miller.
I'm going to read it on the floor, but really quickly I would like to see if council would be interested in signing this proclamation. I'm on a leadership team for Stand, Growth, Thrive through Judge Teresa Delick's juvenile court, and they want to declare a Hope Week. So I can read a couple pieces from this. They're trying to get as many proclamations as they can, or resolutions. We have one coming. I spoke to President Carcelli today from the Struthers Board of Education, and they will be signing it on the 15th. Camel City signed it, I believe Lowville, Hubbard. They're trying to get as many cities and schools involved with this proclamation, so I can read it, and if you would be willing to sign it, to pass this around. Whereas the city of Struthers is celebrating healthy outcomes from positive experiences. Whereas the mental health and physical health of children and youth is important to families, communities, healthcare workers, and service providers across the city of Struthers, Ohio. And whereas services for children and family in the city of Struthers have incorporated trauma-informed care based on the knowledge that adverse childhood experiences can cause long-term harm to physical and mental health. Whereas more recent research has shown that brain development is improved through positive childhood experiences. And whereas PCEs significantly decrease the risk of poor mental health and depression, even among those of us who have experienced significant adversity as children. And whereas we now know that resilient communities can improve the chances that children will experience connection, safe places to live, learn, and play, and have opportunities to engage with others. These key experiences go a long way to reducing the lifelong effects of adverse community environments. And whereas families cannot provide PCEs alone, the City of Struthers can enter into partnerships that help create the strong families and communities that lead our children into lifelong health. And whereas there is hope, healthy outcomes from positive experiences for all City of Struthers families, including those who have faced adversity in their communities and within their families, because childhood adversity is not destiny. And whereas the Week of Hope is a national effort supported by families, scientists, nonprofits, research centers and institutes, universities, and government agencies to raise awareness about the significance of positive childhood experience in youth, child, and family services, and supports research and policy making. And that we will declare and proclaim March 7th through the 11th, 2022 as the Week of Hope. So if you guys are okay signing this,
sure.
We want to present
Anybody
this to Judge.
Or we can just put it here, and when we're done with the caucus, we'll...
Okay, and I have blue, has to be signed in blue.
Yep,
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments for the mayor? Okay, report of standing committees. Dallas, I'm going to ask your committee to convene to add the two pieces to
Sure.
the agenda for
I'd
tonight.
like to call this Finance and Legislation meeting to order. Mr. Baez?
I'm here.
Mr. Ballack?
Here.
Okay, we got two pieces. First one is an ordinance authorizing the mayor and safety service director to enter into a contract with KO Consulting LLC for grant services for calendar year of 2022 and declaring an emergency. Any motion to bring it out?
I'll make a motion.
Need a
I'll
second.
second it.
This one and this.
Okay, next one is an ordinance adopting revised collective bargaining agreement between the City of Struthers and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Ohio Council 8, Local 759, AFL-CIO, as a result of the parties' reopener negotiations and declaring an emergency. Kat, do you want to speak on? Do you need to speak on this at all?
Not really. This is just something that we had to get settled and finally closed out the wage reopener. It was something that we kept signing and trying to come up with something. We did do a 0-0-0 as far as the raises for the union. There were some things that were added into the contract, such as raises for their licensures, and then a one-time bonus for not last year, but this year and next year. And we're going to be able to do something the following year. But as of right now, that's where we are.
Anybody any questions?
That was effective from November 20th, 2004, or November November 1st, 2020 through 23.
Yes.
So we've been in the process of trying to sign this for that long now?
Yes, so the entire contract was already not ratified, except we added a wage reopener so that we could reopen that part of it. So we've been to the table many
So
times.
it's probably going through. Okay.
Yeah. And these are the copies, we didn't want to print out all the, everybody at their own copy, but if you guys want to look through this.
Sure. I know we weren't able to give them a raise, but we were able to do bonuses, correct?
Yes, just for, so not for last year, but just for the year 2021, I believe in 22 and 23. So, and then when we are open for negotiation, that bonus isn't there, then we'll open it up again.
Need a motion to bring it out.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
That's it for finance and legislation. Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Dallas. Okay, going back to standing committees. Any committees?
Finance and legislation for February 1st
Correct.
at 6 o'clock.
Second, I think you said.
Second.
Oh, it's second?
What is it?
First or second, anybody?
It's the second.
If I
It's the
could,
second.
Go
real
ahead.
quickly, I will not be at the meeting on the 9th, the next council meeting, because I'll be in Columbus for a chamber event, so Bob will be here, but there is a good possibility, and we're hoping to have everything done by the 2nd for the committee meeting, so finance and legislation, I'll have something to present for the dispatcher's contract. So
Okay.
I'm pretty sure we're done with that as of today. They have their attorneys looking over it, but I won't be here on the 9th. So if there's any questions for that, we'll have it ready for the 2nd, but Bob will be there to answer all those. He's
Okay.
started on the negotiation.
Okay, so February 2nd then at 6 o'clock,
6 o'clock.
unless somebody else has a meeting that has to go.
Any other committee meetings for the 2nd?
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dallas.
You got it.
Okay, going on to legislation, we have 3 pieces. Questions or comments on the legislation we have for tonight? Unfinished business? Yes, ma'am.
We are going to get like a disciplinary,
Policy.
yes. Where are we at on that?
I gotta talk to John. John's been off sick.
Okay.
And I talked with him briefly about,
Okay.
yeah, we gotta work on it. Yeah, John's been off
Just
sick.
making sure we don't. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
you're
what I
right.
heard. Okay.
Any unfinished business? New business? Report of our law director, he is absent.
Mike, I got something that I don't know if I should bring out under new business or I should wait to a committee meeting. This is an improvement that I have been, I guess I had an idea on that possibly council could come together on and do at one of the parks. Is it something that should come out in new business or should I call a committee meeting for that?
Talk about it under your committee meeting next week.
Perfect. Okay.
That way you got time to
Yeah. Yeah.
go
I
into
mean,
detail about it.
fair enough.
Does it have
Since
to
we're
do with
meeting
the
on
park?
Monday, do you want to just call a park
Yeah.
meeting that day? Since we're meeting on the 31st?
It could go under parks or community development. Either would work. Either
Are
committee.
you on both?
I'm on both.
Oh, okay, well then,
But if you want to call it, you can call it parks. It probably
Okay.
should go under parks, but
Okay,
it does deal directly with the parks. So if you could call a meeting for that, I would appreciate
Okay,
it.
for next.
for the second.
For the second,
Okay.
but it could go after mine. We won't have
You
legislation
won't need
for it.
My
legislation.
mind's open.
So
Okay.
we're gonna do a
6:15?
parks after finance
Yes.
on the 7th.
and we should have, Jim, we should have,
Can't buy a big
I'm
one.
hoping to have the list of dates by the end of the meeting, the 31st, so
Yeah,
that might roll right into that too.
okay.
Okay, yeah,
So
so
what were you thinking? Oh, well, oh.
Are you saying about the idea?
Yeah,
Oh, it's
fine.
just, I'll bring it up to you,
Okay.
but it's something I think all the council, it's nothing big, but it's something that would, something to do for the parks that would
so
probably.
your finance will go first and parks will go after that. Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. Report of our auditor, Chris.
I've submitted a report. It's so voluminous that there's only one copy in the middle of the table. If anybody would like to peruse it, it's year-end information for the month of December.
Go ahead and say
We
it.
had a-
Statistical.
No, I'm not gonna. It is chock full of statistical data for you to peruse through at your leisure.
We look forward to that
Well,
every
yeah.
month.
Right. We had, I think the year pretty much was what we had anticipated, you know, when you guys passed the amended budget, it wasn't much different than what we thought. Receipts came in, expenses went out, pretty much status quo to what we had anticipated. The mayor has scheduled some budget meetings
So,
for us.
holiday tomorrow.
And then, when we start that process, we will also come with, the, what's it called? The estimated revenue that we, base the budget off of. I think I give you guys a report usually every year, just kinda showing you what I'm thinking we could expect in revenue for the coming year, so probably in by the next meeting, I'll have that for you too.
The budget
Take a
has to
look
be
at.
passed by March, correct?
March, the end of March.
The end of March.
That's it.
Any other questions for our auditor? Safety Director Bob?
I can inform you just of two things that I can think of off the top of my head. First, we're gonna put up some no parking signs from 7 till 9 a.m. up on 9th Street, right at the exit of the back parking lot of the elementary school. They're using the back parking lot as their drop off, and as people are coming out, it's difficult to see. So within 50 feet of that exit, we're gonna put up some no parking signs. It's only a 2-hour no parking, just while they're using that. And the second is, there was a permits taken out to install fiber optic line all the way through the city of Struthers. It was taken out a couple years ago. I got a call today that I think they're getting ready to start it. So there will be it's underground fiber optics where they drill underneath the ground. So dig up a hole here, bring it out, 100 or so feet down, do it again. It's going to run down Maplewood, across Walnut, down Sexton, down 616, and all the way up North Side Hill.
Get out of here.
Okay.
All right, and then there's another short little piece of 1,000 feet that's coming down Spring Street. But I figured that's pretty much just up there where the cell tower is.
Do they have an estimated time that,
No, like I
for
said,
the project?
the permits for this was taken out in December of 2019. But they're
Nothing in the Nebo area?
When they knock down the,
not at this time. This is a continuation
when they knock out the electric
because they do it in sections.
downtown?
The one, it's actually started over in Poland and came all the way down 170, and now it's continuing on through Struthers and up into Campbell. So,
Very good. Yes,
I think Megan had something.
I had something for Chrissy.
go ahead.
Chrissy, I know that Michelle called me in the office the other day about funeral leave, and it's not in our codified book because it's actually in our ordinances for the employees, whereas we have court people that it doesn't speak to the court people, so Chrissy had said something maybe council should put something in our codified book.
So there's an employee provision in the codified, I think it's 149,
Yeah, I think
that
so.
handles anything to do with sick, any of these things like that, right? So, like Megan said, you pass an ordinance that's for her, and it's gonna speak to it in there, but because the court goes solely off of the codified, because they have judgment entries that don't speak to any of this, they just basically have a position and a wage, it might be easier for me to do my job if you put it in the codified, so if anybody has an objection to that.
Yeah,
149.
So
It's
is
already,
that something
it's the
that,
same
So
thing.
it's the same information that's in all of the ordinances, I would just, if we put it in the codified, then it's just that streamlined and that much more simple, so.
No problem.
We're ready to hear from you.
is that something that we need an ordinance to
I don't know.
amend the codified to accept
Probably need to
that?
update it, correct?
You would just create another like subchapter in that, so once.
Just for the court people,
Well, not
correct?
just for the court, you could just do it for employment provisions, so.
Oh, okay.
So like it talks about sick, it talks about vacation, we could just add another paragraph that
Paragraph
talks
in
about
there.
that.
Fair enough.
And that'll come in front of Dallas's committee to bring it out and stuff? Or we could just,
I would think it would be finance and
Yeah.
for sure, yeah.
okay, any other questions for Bob? Safety Director?
How are we on the salt?
They just ordered more, and they got enough to handle a couple more storms, and they got more on order.
Hopefully, we don't have a couple more
Hopefully.
storms.
At least not like the one we just had.
Right?
Yeah,
Don't jinx us.
you guys did a good job.
Supposed to have another one this weekend, right? Ain't you calling for another one this weekend?
I didn't
Not
hear
this
that. You
weekend,
heard
maybe the
that?
following weekend, maybe
The
Friday.
following
Like
weekend.
It's saying it's
Because
on.
it isn't state purchasing and having it like that.
It is state purchasing. So when we come March, we enter in with state purchasing, so we get our salt at a discounted rate. And we tell them how much we want for the following year, and then we have to order that amount. We're within up to 90% of it. So even if you don't use it, you have to buy it. But we're pretty good right now. I think they ordered 200 tons to start with, and they just ordered another 400, and our total purchase is going to be 800 ton. So they should be in good shape. You know, we're trying, I think that they also changed the mixture, if you're curious. We used to run 2 gravel to 1 salt. And it worked well. It worked well for a lot of years, but when end of last year when we had several salt and not enough snow to plow, we kind of built up on the roads. So this year they're going to try 3 gravel to 2 salt, a little bit. So 1.5 to 1 instead of 2 to 1.
We'll probably keep down on the mess too. I mean, as far as
That's-
once you guys have to clean in the
Right.
in the spring and
Plus the sweeping.
yeah.
The sweeping costs us another probably $5,000 to $6,000 to get rid of the sweepings, because you can't just. We used to fill it in wherever they had, but
Stop
now the
running.
EPA has some standards that we have to follow.
Anything else for Bob or Safety Director? None, motion adjourned caucus,
Make a motion.
second,
Second.
thank you, caucus is adjourned.
Ready whenever you are.
Chairs and things.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
It's comfortable, like
I'd like to call this meeting to order, Struthers City Council, dated Wednesday, January 26, 2022, 7 p.m. Clerk, can you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Ballack? Here. Mr. Bayes?
Here.
Mr. Beagley?
Here.
Mr. Burnside?
Here.
Mr. Carselli?
Here.
Ms. Greenwood? Here. And Ms. Pinkley is absent. President Patrick?
Here, you stand for the pledge, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get into the meeting, I need a motion to excuse Megan Pingley from tonight's meeting. Ronnie makes a motion. Second. Dallas.
Mr. Ballack?
Yes.
Mr. Bayes?
Yes.
Mr. Beagley?
Yes.
Mr. Burnside?
Yes.
Mr. Carselli?
Yes.
Ms. Greenwood?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I need a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the first regular meeting dated Wednesday, January 12th, 2022, and accepted as prepared by the clerk. Dallas makes a motion. Bob makes a second.
Mr. Ballack?
Yes.
Mr. Bayes?
Yes.
Mr. Beagley?
Yes.
Mr. Burnside?
Yes.
Mr. Carselli?
Yes.
Ms. Greenwood?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Communications, we have 2.
Yes. Number 1, Struthers City Auditor's monthly statement of cash position, revenue reports for transfers in and out, and expense transaction ledger reports for the month of December 2021, submitted by Christina S. Bowl, Struthers City Auditor. And number 2, Mayor's report dated Monday, January 24, 2022, submitted by Mayor Catherine Chacon Miller.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I need a motion to receive and file. Ricky makes a motion.
Make a motion to receive and file.
Ronnie seconds it.
Second.
Yes.
Mr. Ballack?
Yes.
Mr. Bayes?
Yes.
Mr. Beagley?
Yes.
Mr. Burnside?
Yes.
Mr. Carselli?
Yes.
Ms. Greenwood?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, council. Mayor Miller, your report?
Yes, thank you. Okay, the street department. We would like to thank our street department for the countless hours they spent dealing with the last few snowfalls. Please continue to clear the snow from any fire hydrants located on your property. There are free COVID tests. Please sign up to have your free COVID test delivered to your home at no cost. Every home is eligible to order 4 free at-home COVID tests by visiting covidtest.gov. The Struthers Baseball League has sign-ups. They will continue this weekend, the 29th from 9 to 12, and Saturday, February 5th from 9 to 2 down at the complex at 100 Catherine Street. And they also want to note that any family that is in financial need and would like to have their child participate in the Struthers Baseball, Softball, or T-Ball League, please visit www.littleleague.org and fill out the information for the T-Mobile Little League Call-Up Grant Program. We would also like to congratulate Light City Church on not only their new location at 2 Ohio Street, but also on their 1-year anniversary. Thank you for being an important part of our community. The power outage last week. Thank you to the residents for weathering a power outage that took out half of our city. Ohio Edison has fixed the problem. Please remember that this is not a reason to call 911 or our fire station. In the future, please call Ohio Edison to report the issue unless it is a medical emergency. Struthers Marketplace. A grand opening will be held Saturday, January 29th from 10 to 4 at 602 Youngstown Poland Road for our newest business, Struthers Marketplace. This collectible store will have unique hidden gems from all over. And I would also like to add on here, I'll include it on my report next week, but we did receive another grant through KO Consulting for $13,250 to help with our body cams. So that was another plus. They announced it in the Vindicator, I believe yesterday, but I'll have more information on that for the next report. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Questions or comments for Mayor?
Mayor, was that grant through KO or was that just a government grant that everybody received? 'Cause
No, not everybody received. We were one of 4 from the county. It was Goshen Township, the Sheriff's Department, New Middletown, and Struthers. They applied on our behalf, and we did receive it. So only 4 from the county.
Great.
And it was through OCJS.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Any other questions or comments for Mayor? Okay, if none, report of standing committees.
Finance and legislation for February 2nd at 6 o'clock.
Thank you.
And Parks to follow that,
Okay.
finance and legislation, February 2nd.
Any other committees? Okay, we have 3 pieces of legislation. Since there's no one in the audience, we usually ask if anyone wishes to comment on the legislation only, but we'll go to number 1.
Number 1, an ordinance to approve current replacement pages to the Struthers codified ordinances and declaring an emergency.
Okay, council, you heard the ordinance. Need a motion to suspend the rules of council and place the ordinance up for passage. Dallas makes a motion.
Make a motion.
Second?
Jim seconds it.
Mr. Ballack?
Yes.
Mr. Bayes?
Yes.
Mr. Beagley?
Yes.
Mr. Burnside?
Yes.
Mr. Carselli?
Yes.
Ms. Greenwood?
Yes.
Questions, comments under suspension? Need a motion to pass as read.
Motion to pass as read.
Second it.
Second.
Mr. Ballack?
Yes.
Mr. Bayes?
Yes.
Mr. Beagley?
Yes.
Mr. Burnside?
Yes.
Mr. Carselli?
Yes.
Ms. Greenwood?
Yes.
Okay. Number 2.
Number 2, an ordinance adopting the revised collective bargaining agreement between the City of Struthers and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Ohio Council 8, Local 759, AFL-CIO, as a result of the parties' reopener negotiations and declaring an emergency.
Okay, thank you. Council, you heard the reading of the ordinance. I need a motion to suspend the rules of council, place the ordinance for passage. Ron makes a motion. Second, Lori.
Yes. Mr. Ballack?
Yes.
Mr. Bayes?
Yes.
Mr. Beagley?
Yes.
Mr. Burnside?
Yes.
Mr. Carselli?
Yes.
Ms. Greenwood?
Yes.
Questions or comments under suspension? Need a motion to pass as read.
Pass as read.
Second.
Lori seconds that.
Yes. Mr. Ballack?
Yes.
Mr. Bayes?
Yes.
Mr. Beagley?
Yes.
Mr. Burnside?
Yes.
Mr. Carselli?
Yes.
Ms. Greenwood?
Yes.
Number 3.
Number 3, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and the safety service director to enter into a contract with KO Consulting LLC for grant services for calendar year 2022 and declaring an emergency.
Okay, Council, you heard reading of the ordinance. I need a motion to suspend the rules of council, place the ordinance for passage. Bob makes a motion.
Makes a motion.
Dallas seconds that.
Yes. Mr. Ballack?
Yes.
Mr. Bayes?
Yes.
Mr. Beagley?
Yes.
Mr. Burnside?
Yes.
Mr. Carselli?
Yes.
Ms. Greenwood?
Yes.
Questions or comments under suspension? Need a motion to pass as read.
Make a motion. Pass
Bob?
as read, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Dallas seconds that.
Mr. Ballack?
Yes.
Mr. Bayes?
Yes.
Mr. Beagley?
Yes.
Mr. Burnside?
Yes.
Mr. Carselli?
Yes.
Ms. Greenwood?
Yes.
Thank you. Any unfinished business? New business? Report of our law director, he's absent. Our auditor?
Mr. Chairman, I gave my report in council caucus, and I have
Okay, thank you,
nothing
Chris.
more to add.
Questions or comments for our auditor? Report of our safety director, Bob.
Just passing on information that our fiber optics will be going through the city of Struthers. So if you see the people digging up, and that's what they'll be laying down. The exact start date we don't have, but it will probably happen this summer. And limited no parking signs will be going up on 9th Street to help with the traffic flow during school drop-off.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Questions or comments for our safety director? Okay, if none, anyone wishing to address council, come up, state your name and address for the record. Okay, if none, before we adjourn, February 2nd, 6 o'clock is Finance and Legislation Committee meeting, and follow that will be a Parks and Rec. Need a motion to adjourn this city council meeting. Ricky makes a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Dallas seconds it.
Yes. Mr. Ballack?
Yes.
Mr. Bayes?
Yes.
Mr. Beagley?
Yes.
Mr. Burnside?
Yes.
Mr. Carselli?
Yes.
Ms. Greenwood?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.